For the next 500 days, I'm going to be making faceless YouTube videos and showing the step-by-step strategies I use to grow a new channel, the results of my videos, and just how much money I'll actually make. But I have to succeed with this channel no matter what, because if I fail, I'm going to have to quit YouTube and go back to school. Day 1 going into this challenge, I immediately knew I had to make things happen, because I had only set myself up with enough money to last for about 6 months on this project before I'd have to give up. I'm a big believer that you always need some sort of plan on YouTube in order to grow, and I knew there was this big opportunity with one of the new games coming out at the time. And this worked out great for me since I wanted to do a faceless channel from the start so that I could eventually outsource the production later. To make things even better for me, when it comes to gaming videos, one of the easiest ways to grow is simply just to wait for a new game to come out. This way you'll have almost no competition and can easily be one of the only people making unique videos. So despite the game being in closed beta, I spent the next week studying the game extremely in depth and exhausting every possible resource I could find and learn everything I can about the game. I was messaging the developers on Twitter, asking a bunch of questions, and because I spent the last week doing all this research, I just learned a ton about the game. And it got to the point where I was starting to know more about the game than almost anyone. Now on one hand, I didn't have access to the game yet, but this information was still extremely valuable, and a lot of people will probably want to learn about the game when it comes out since it's so new. So I started making videos just with whatever I could, showcasing things like clips and tricks of strategies in the game that were discovered, plus covering things like news, the mechanics, top 10 lists, and other ideas that involved information and research rather than actual gameplay itself. That way I don't actually need to access the game in order to make videos, and I can start super early. And since I'll be the first one making these videos in the future once the game releases, anyone searching for this type of content is going to have really limited options, and as a result they'll be shown my channel due to a lack of competition. So for the next couple months I continued making videos about the information I had gathered. The game being in closed beta caused the viewership to be almost non-existent. The reality was, why would people care about a game that they can't even play yet? But I just knew for a fact based on prior experience that if I just stuck it out and kept grinding, I could capture the audience once the game finally released. And eventually, after waiting another month, I was right. The game released to an open beta, and I started to get some early viewership coming in, but it still wasn't the official release yet, so it was really only enough to get a couple videos going and get my channel monetized. And over time, this revealed a huge flaw in my plans. Unfortunately, many other people had had the exact same idea as me, and all of those pro players and influencers had the advantage of actually being able to access the game a lot earlier than me. And so they were making a bunch of videos that were better than mine because I just physically could not get access to recording things. But hey, you know, let's not give up. We can find a way to make this happen and move forward. And on day 80, looking over my previous content and my current competition, my go-to strategy for coming up with strong video ideas is to just look at really entertaining ideas in niches that are completely different to mine, and then see if I can adjust them in a way that makes sense for what I'm trying to make videos about. That way I can pull from strong, proven video concepts while also providing something fully unique to the audience. And so while watching random videos on my couch one day, I got recommended these videos of like $1 steak versus $300 steak, and the overall concept of putting two same things at different levels against each other. While this concept wasn't unique by any means, it's definitely a tried and true format for YouTube, and no one had even imagined of porting it to this new game. So I could be the only one doing it if I could find a way to make it work. And I mean, it was just such a fun concept, right? Like super clickable and so universally successful that I think it honestly could just fit the gaming niche as well too. Now that I have my ideas locked in, I realized there was another problem. I absolutely have to be the first person to do this video idea. Otherwise, it's gonna have the same issues as my previous video ideas and it's just going to fail. But I was extremely confident in these versus battle ideas because it allowed us to combine the competitive aspects of the game with the fun clickable nature of spectacle ideas. We can do all sorts of fun experiments. Like for example, putting someone who's a fully legitimate pro player in a team all by themselves against like a full team of really average players and just see who wins. But in order to start doing this versus style of content within the game of Valorant, we had a lot more issues that we needed to solve first. For these types of versus battle videos, we have to gather multiple players of varying skill levels that are also willing and able to organize with us and film in a game that wasn't even released yet or popular at all yet. This was going to be a big challenge. And after working on this for a couple weeks, attempting to find players to record with has been borderline impossible. Not many people have even accessed the game yet, and there's no one actually good at it yet either that we can film with since it's so new. But I know for a fact this is going to be great content. I just know it. So in times like this, I have to take a step back and remind myself of one of the biggest philosophies that I've learned on YouTube throughout the years. The harder a piece of content is to make, the more worth it it's going to be. So after thinking about it for a while, the best solution I could come up with for getting players to record with us was to just pay them. So with no other option left, I picked up a side job so I could start paying people to film with our videos. While it's not much, I can definitely offer the players like $20, $30 to film with us in a game or two and record their perspective. So I started asking people around everywhere. I was looking for players on Reddit, Discord servers, on Twitter, all sorts of private messages to people. Now finally, after 3 weeks of trying, I pulled some friends together and we had a total of 7 people play in our first video. And we just started with our simple topics of putting a team of 1 or 2 really good players against a full team of 5 really like average to bad players and seeing who would win. And everything had been going so well. We finally got some people organized, we recorded some decent videos, our editing was in progress, the ideas were great, the content was solid, we had some good titles and thumbnails for them. It was all perfect until day 121 when my worst nightmare happened. Someone else had made the same video idea, but that's not all. To make things worse, they didn't just post one video of our concept. They had posted 3 videos with topics way better than ours, with much better players, and had already fully captured the audience. At this point, it almost felt like it just wasn't even worth pursuing anymore. I wasn't the first person to post the concept, and I knew from the start that if we weren't the first, the opportunity was going to be lost, and it was all going to be over. But hey, I decided to just finish up and post our videos anyway. There was no harm in just finishing up what we had already made progress on, but the reality was I was really pushing it now. At this point, I didn't have much money left due to paying the people that we had filmed with, and I was running out of hope, money, and most importantly, I was running out of time. Another month and I'd probably have to go homeless, or more realistically, just face the shame of moving back in with my parents and going to school. This YouTube thing, it wasn't going to work out, but I can at least accept the defeat knowing that I truly tried my best. But on day 127, I actually got a tiny little glimmer of hope. My videos, they had started to pick up just a little bit. Nothing crazy, but it started with 1,000 views. And by the end of the week, we had over 10,000 views on one of our videos. Not bad at all. Hey, maybe it's not time to give up just yet. We have at least something here. Okay, we weren't the first and our videos aren't as good as this other guy, but hey, 10,000 views in the first week, I'll take it. But by day 134, I'm starting to really run out of options. I only have about 4 weeks worth of expenses left in my bank account, but then it finally happened. Our videos started to completely explode and go absolutely nuclear. And from here, things changed completely. My best video was sitting at 20,000 views, which was a great start, but it felt like almost every week I would turn back and look again, and those numbers would nearly double. And in the next 10 days, we had climbed up to 200,000 views. And within the next week after that, we had 450,000 views on our best video. At this point, I was going crazy. I mean, I was just popping off. Like, I called my mom, tell her, hey, I'm not going back to school. This YouTube thing, it's gonna work. I got this. So on day 155, my serious work had begun. I had some success, but I had talked myself up a lot at this point. I had bragged to all my friends. My family was starting to support me. I couldn't let them down. This other guy we were competing with, he could still come back at any moment. And I had proof that the viewers were hungry for more of this content now. Anyone that could come in and do it faster and better than us would take all of our audience overnight. Time was not on my side. The pressure was on and I had to go all out. And so in the next weeks, I just went crazy on trying to get more people to film with us. I had money coming in now, but hey, I know it's still early and a really crucial moment for us, for our long-term success due to our big competitor. So I reinvested every single penny of the channel's earnings back into getting more people to film with us. So now that we had some proof of success and a couple good videos on the channel, we could show people like, hey, come play in our videos. Look, this last one got this many views, which got a lot more people interested. And it started getting easier to find people to play in our videos. And so at this time, the best move was really to just rush out the content as much as possible before our competition. So we filmed 3 more videos in a session and got to work on making those videos. Honestly, I gotta say, I think it came out a little bit worse than our first round of content, and the sacrifices we made to really rush out these videos, maybe it wasn't the best idea. And this definitely reflected in the performance of the content too. We had posted something that was just worse, and so it was going to do worse, and there was no way around that. You see, I've been making YouTube videos for many years now, and one of the biggest things that I found over the years that's led me to more success than anything else is that a video being really difficult to create is one of the best opportunities you could ever find yourself in. And if you can just find a way to figure it out, you're going to have such a huge advantage over everyone else. So the big move I decided to make was to set up a community for our viewers. We did this for free using Discord, which allowed us to organize our videos way easier. After all, if we could get enough viewers into our community, we would have access to a ton of people who were already invested enough to want to play in our games. But hey, we have to do whatever it takes to solve our bottlenecks and make these videos a reality. And honestly, this was a big hit to our content. And hey, I understood the risks, but I was confident that it was going to be worth it. And a week later, we had over 1,000 viewers join our Discord server. And now I could finally start hosting recordings almost every day with our huge community of viewers who were hungry and motivated to be in our videos. And so with this, by the next week, I decided to cancel all of our other experimental video topics and just fully double down on these versus videos only and completely forget everything else. And as it turns out, setting up this Discord was one of the best decisions we could ever make. We finally found some players that were really on that pro tier level that wanted to film with us, so we could finally make my dream video idea of that one epic amazing pro player versus a whole team of just kind of average players. And on day 199 we posted this video, and from the start this was definitely my dream video idea for this concept. And so just as I had foreseen, after posting it immediately started to go absolutely nuclear. Nearly 500,000 views in just a couple days, and we also put a decent shout out for our community in the video too, and our Discord server blew up to over 8,000 members, with every single one of them joining and wanting to play in our future content. And by the way, if you want to learn more about the strategy and methods that I use to grow this channel, this week I'm hosting a completely free 0 to 10,000 subscribers in the next 45 days bootcamp, where I'll show you exactly step by step how you can take your channel to 10,000 subscribers and beyond. So if you're interested in that, again, it's completely free. You can check it out at the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on the screen. And I think I can say now that we have fully defeated our biggest challenge permanently. One of my favorite ideas that we came up with was doing a full team of pro level players versus a full team of like kind of average or even bad players. But the pro players have to wait until like the absolute last possible moment to start playing the game. It was a super close game where like these average players would only have to score like 1 or 2 points against the pro players to win. Meanwhile, the pros have to go absolutely all out to their maximum ability to really catch up. But if they make a mistake or slip up just one time, it was all over. And we did a few variations of this topic. Sometimes the pros absolutely clutched it out and it was just insane, and overall it was just amazing content. And so from day 240, the channel was beginning to form a really strong foundation, and we had also built the infrastructure to film videos efficiently. And we had made about $20,000 so far, also reaching about 40,000 subscribers. And this was more than enough to start building out the channel properly for the long term to take it to the next level. So outside of my bills, I'm going to keep reinvesting the money back into the channel. I can build a long-term sustained and more outsourced production. And I also hired a couple video editors from my favorite freelance website, onlinejobs.ph, and we're focusing this month to start building out a really strong team to eventually start pumping out videos daily. I also promoted one of our first video editors, his name is Omar, to work on producing the videos fully and to slowly start taking over some parts of the management, like organizing the recordings and filming the content. Oh, and that one guy that beat us out originally, he never actually uploaded anything after those first 3 videos. And because of this, we were able to completely take over the audience from him. And really one of the worst things you could ever do on YouTube is to get some success and then just stop uploading. I cannot tell you how many channels I've seen die from this. I mean, in this example, even our competitor too. You just die off so hard because the algorithm for your channel gets killed because viewers move on to watching competitors that replace the hole that you left behind. But on day 279, things took a completely different turn. We had an insane, completely unexpected problem come up that threatened to destroy our entire channel. I honestly never even knew that this was something that was possible. And even to this day now, it's the weirdest problem I've ever faced on YouTube. You see, our channel's revenue had been absolutely destroyed overnight. And you might think maybe it was because of some new competitor that came along, or maybe some production issues or problems with the team, but no, not at all. It was because of some completely random YouTube error, and we were still getting the exact same views that we had always been getting, around a couple or a few 100,000 views a day. But we had a team of 6 employees on our channel at this point, on top of the massive 5-figure investment I had made to get us to this point in the first place. I was so surprised that this even could happen that I wasn't that stressed out about it at first. But then it just kind of hit me all at once and really sunk in. Our entire channel, all the 6 people working with us, their families, my future plans, everything was about to fall apart if we couldn't get this fixed immediately. With no reason as to why this was happening, I had no way to figure out how to fix it. That wasn't until a couple weeks later we finally had a pop-up in our YouTube dashboard that showed that this was happening due to some invalid ad traffic glitch. where apparently some of our ad views had been seen as fraudulent somehow, and so YouTube wasn't going to pay out our ad revenue properly. I still had no idea why or how this even happened in the first place, because our views had remained entirely the same from one day to the next, but our revenue was completely screwed. And in the end, there was no other choice but to turn to our community for help. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of asking viewers for money. I think it's kind of just lame, honestly. At the end of the day, you guys are just watching my videos. But at this point, we literally had no other choice. I was desperate. Because with this whole situation, even on a fully family-friendly, advertiser-safe, completely original content channel, our ad revenue had literally gone away overnight with no explanation, due to something completely outside of our control that we didn't even realize was possible. And while I don't think you need to start from day one with extra income sources, if you want to survive and weather the storms over the years, you really need to have at least some kind of secondary income within a YouTube channel to make it last. So we called on the help of our community and started a Patreon. And I cannot overstate how incredibly blessed and fortunate I was to have such an incredible community of viewers. After just airing out our problems with everybody, we had gotten some insane support, and we were able to build out some extra additional income sources of sponsorships and brand deals, and with that we had stabilized our future and saved our channel from shutting down. Way later on, I would actually come to find out from asking the higher ups at the YouTube monetization team that this invalid ad traffic glitch happens a lot to channels within the first year or so after they blow up. And it's usually from the channel blowing up too fast and YouTube having to properly vet and verify the ad plays. Honestly, between you and me, I think YouTube might just be stealing this money, because at the time, the ads were still running fully properly on our videos. And this issue has become a lot more common nowadays too, because just 2 weeks later on day 292, the ad traffic bug had fixed itself and we were now able to make normal revenue again. This ad revenue error was one of the most difficult things that happened to us, but it served as a massive lesson, allowed us to prepare additional income sources, and put us in a much better spot for the future moving forward too. And now that things were back to normal, I could pay off my debts and finally start to recoup some of my initial investment from the start of the channel. During the next month, we would go on to stabilize and grow things even further. By this point, we were making an average of $12,000 a month in our overall earnings. And on day 330, after almost a whole year of starting this thing, I'm now facing a really interesting choice for the direction of the channel. You see, my guy Omar has really grown himself into a fantastic asset for the team. He's doing an amazing job managing the videos that I'm giving him, he's working insanely hard, and you know what? I'm not afraid to admit it, he deserves to be paid more money. I want to pay him more, he wants to earn more and do more, but I didn't really know what the best way to figure this out would be. So I discussed things with him for a bit and had some thoughts, and after a while we came up with a pretty interesting solution. Together we decided that he could take on more responsibility for the channel moving forward, and eventually take over a majority of the workload, as I would teach him the skills that he would need to maintain and keep growing the channel. And then we would change his pay structure to, instead of being a salary or flat rate, it would be a 50-50 revenue share of the channel's earnings. And with this, I'll be able to finally accomplish my goal that I had set out from day one, which was to have the channel fully outsourced and automated. And from the setup, I knew that I was going to be taking a hit from my personal profits, but even though I hadn't recouped my total investment, the channel was still profitable at this point. And this new model that we had with my guy Omar paid off almost instantly. I knew with this whole setup, sure, I was going to be making less money, but because Omar was getting not just a profit, but like a full revenue share now, he was that much more motivated to make amazing content. And I had already spent many months at this point coaching him about YouTube and our channel. And he was one of the people that had been with me from almost the original start, so it was just such a perfect fit for him to take over. And so with this revenue share model, he started working not only harder, but so much better too. But within just a month, our success on the channel had nearly doubled, and we went from making a consistent $12,000 a month to now making a very consistent $20,000 a month and more. It was all thanks to this new setup with Omar and his dedication. And so on day 360, probably the most satisfying moment of the entire channel, we had hit 100,000 subscribers and I received my YouTube Silver Play button. And personally, I'll never ever get tired of unboxing these, even though I've got a whole bunch by the time of this video. But the one that I got from this channel specifically is this one right here on the very bottom right. We had an amazing team of people, an incredibly supportive community, and we're continuing to build things even further. After 365 days, our channel had made in total just over $65,000 in pure ad revenue. Continuing from there, we would enter a big phase of continuing to run the channel very consistently and successfully for the next entire year after that, and still to this day. By 500 days, we would go on to hit 250,000 subscribers, and in the second year of running the channel, we made $205,000 in ad revenue. Plus, we grew our Discord community to over 60,000 members too. Omar eventually was able to refine and streamline our video process even further so that he could record 5 videos a day in a single session, and now he doesn't have to work crazy hard at things to maintain the channel either. And we were able to keep increasing our content standard more and more to just keep getting better. Fast forward to today, it's been over 1,000 days since we started this channel originally, and today we still have our really strong channel. Most of the original team is still with us now, and especially thanks to Omar with some great content, Valorant Curios to this day has over 465,000 subscribers and has earned a total of just over $615,000 US in pure ad revenue over the course of just over 3 successful years of content. Plus, we've also gotten about an extra $100,000 or so too from the sponsorships and brand deals, as well as the community support. And just a little side note, I remember when I first hired Omar back in the day, he was originally helping me out with a different channel, and at the time he was always asking me like, hey, can I take on more work? Can I do more projects? Because at the time he really wanted to help out his girlfriend who was living in Lebanon, and occasionally he would take a trip to visit her, and he would still work super hard and get a ton of work done even while he was traveling. Well, fast forward to today, and Omar was able to marry that same girlfriend. They moved to Canada together, and thanks to his hard work and dedication, they recently bought a house together. And they've been living a super happy and successful life. And he's gone on to make some of his own successful YouTube channels too, while also continuing the Valorant Curios production with me as well. Most of our original editors and team members are still with us 3 years later too, and I honestly could not be more proud of the team and just everything that we've been able to accomplish together. And so just a quick reminder to check out my completely free 0 to 10,000 subscribers in 45 days bootcamp. We cover a ton of really in-depth strategies for growing your YouTube channel. Check that out at the link in the description or the QR code on screen, and thanks for watching.